Live. All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday conversation. Today, me and Melanie will have a conversation. We don't have a guest today, but I think we'll do better anyway. We'll get to talk about subjects and issues that concerns us, or social issues that we are seeing on the media. Hi, Melanie. How are you? What's up? How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you, Omar?
I'm glad. How was your week? How's everything? Anything new?
Yeah, I've been picking up photography and I might try to make that professional and try to do my environmentalism through that. So I've been mostly focused on that and learning to play this piano behind me. So
What kind of photography? Like outdoor and stuff like that, like scenery and stuff like that?
outdoor, black and white scenery type photography. Yeah.
Then yeah, that has to have a lot of patience, and you have to have an eye for that. You know that, right? You have
I
to. You
I
have to.
feel like I might. I don't know.
No, you have to like have passion for it. Because I know a lot of people. I have a cousin who's been doing all his life since he was a kid. He's always taking pictures. You remember the disposable cameras? I don't know how a
Oh
lot of people
yeah.
he used to use them and everything. Anyway, anything going on? What's going on with you? What do you want? Is there any subject you want to start with? That's in your mind.
I guess it's Cop City because I was kind of tuned out of that this
Yeah.
week, and then
Okay.
I looked into that because I was worried you were going to bring it up actually, and now it turns
What
out that that was something I heard about before all this blew up.
what is it about?
Well, they're sorry,
Okay.
they're they're occupying a forest to defend it from what is essentially going to be like this giant. It's going to be cleared for this giant complex that's used to train police. I think it might be one of the largest in America, but it's been a while since I watched the video. And so
Yeah.
the police raided the place. They're claiming there were shots fired at them. A protester got shot and killed, and everyone's
Wow.
really upset.
When did this happen? Just recently?
I don't remember quite when the shooting was. I think it was over the weekend.
No, no, yeah, but I mean, the media is not talking about it too much.
They are somewhat Democracy Now! Sure is, and I
Yeah,
sure love Democracy Now! So,
yeah. This is the. Let me put a load of video so to give people an idea. This is
and
in Atlanta.
this is before the shooting, so
Oh,
you're about to see like a lot of optimism in their
yeah.
voices and stuff like that.
All right. So these are what people living there or something. How do we defend it? There were people that staying inside there.
Yeah, they were living in there. They had food and water
Oh,
there.
yeah. So I remember like a decade ago, the girl that lived on the tree in California. You ever heard that? She stayed there for like months and months.
Yeah.
Stop Cop City! 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 Stop
Wow, they're
Cop
all young.
City! Stop Cop City!
You probably want to be young if you're going to be living in a tree.
Huh?
You probably want to be young if you're going to be living in a tree.
Yeah, look how beautiful it is. They want to cut all that down?
Yeah.
Oh
And
my gosh, that's
it
crazy.
it
What
looks like
a,
it could be interior forest, which is like very important for biodiversity of species that can't mate and nest slash find habitats anywhere else.
so why are we bothering Brazil about the Amazon? We're killing our own little Amazons here in the United States. This is in Georgia, I think, right?
Uh, yes, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm not the
Atlanta,
best
Georgia.
with U.S. geography, but I'm pretty sure Atlanta's in
Yeah,
Georgia.
Oh, okay. I forgot you're Canadian there. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I think it's in Georgia. I read it about it. This is weird, man. This is too beautiful. I mean, hold that is the gay capital of the black community, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, they have more gay African American there. So, most of them are married, but they're gay. Everybody knows. You know, it's the gay capital of black Americans. It's like the San Francisco.
Cop City is the proposed development of a urban warfare training center here in the city of Atlanta.
this would be a new training facility to allow the police to further develop and hone their oppression of poor and marginalized people.
These are not everyday facilities like classroom space or learning how to like drive between orange traffic cones.
It's going to include, military grade training facilities,
Wow.
bomb testing sites.
A shoot house.
Just ways to militarize the
meaning
police.
A
So they want to cut that all down to do military training. We're not a police state. What's going on over here?
I mean, I think we are actually.
I mean, we're heading that way because I tweeted last week. You know how our civilian government is losing its legitimacy, like they're eroding. Every day they're infighting, all that stuff, and everything else. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to be held hostage to our military. We're giving them almost $1 trillion every year. We raise up the money. It's like they blackmail on the civilian government. They ask for 900. I don't think they ever asked for 900 change. They give them $46 billion more than they asked for.
For sure.
Yeah, it was our budget was 1.7 trillion. For every dollar, 60 cents went to the military, and the other 40 cents went to the whole country. This is weird. The United States is getting lopsided, and it's scary. And I don't like this. Is dangerous. I appreciate that the young people are active. I used to go to demonstrations. I've been to demonstration against wars and stuff like that. And I saw a lot of young people, with drums and things like that. I don't know if you ever been to a demonstration. It was weird. All these crowds come in, all these people come, this collation, they just corral together from every walk of life, from hippies to whites, blacks, LGBT community, the drum playing, everything. It's fucking beautiful.
mock house, a mock village, a mock city, if you will, for tactical training, active shooter training.
Tear gas deployment capabilities.
There would also be an EVOC, emergency vehicle operations course. Toys, basically. These are toys for cops.
It's proposed to be built in the Waylani or South River Forest, 381 or so acres of that forest, and so they're gonna have to really destroy a large part of the environment to develop it.
They want to build up this huge militarized training station so they can continue to develop and hone their techniques of oppressing.
When did you first become environmentally conscious, Melanie?
I think it's mostly been my whole life.
I mean, you knew you young about I didn't know anything about the environment.
Oh, not about the
Yeah.
climate. That would be in
yeah.
about grade 8. Actually, I think
Wow. I didn't know nothing about that. I was an idiot. I was a jog, but a weird one. I was in my head, but in the school, I was a beat up kid. Everybody beat me up.
Oh, base of PJ. Also, hi by the
Huh?
way. Base of PJ's in chat saying that they've got a smaller scale thing in South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Let me see. This is it.
Oh, okay. I think they
tax
mean
dollars-
like a cop city type deal.
tax dollars to pay for. Yeah, it is for training. You see, I understand when the government, things I hate new laws. I don't like when Congress make new laws. I'm a liberal. I hate because I know the new laws outlive their purpose and they just how mutate to something else. You understand? And then they start dealing with a different problem than the original problem they started with. And I hate the military, because I come from a background where the military controls the countries, and I see how scary it is and how weird it is that people, they should disappear. They don't do that no more. So I'm afraid the United States is moving slowly but surely toward that, because the more the corruption goes on between the Republicans and the Democrats in Washington, the more they lose legitimacy. I don't care. I don't like the Democratic Party because they're the same shit. They do the same thing as the Republicans. But the only thing is good about the Democrats, they're not as crazy yet. So the military eventually, if you have some idiot, will take advantage of the situation. What's going to stop them from sending tanks through 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and just take over? We can't do nothing.
Well, by the way, with the Democratic Party, I don't think mental health has anything to do with it. So I personally don't like using terms like crazy. I would say that they're less reactionary at the moment. However,
Go ahead.
like if the left were to, achieve its goals, and the more people like this were to occupy forests, the more Democrats basically just become reactionaries.
You see, the left or the left, we have a problem. We don't know how to message our views. We don't know how to, because our messages are good. I mean, especially here in the United States. I mean, healthcare, access to healthcare, access to education, children care, maternity leave, things that are helpful that people could actually enjoy. Use. But the Republicans,
Those, I wouldn't even say those are leftist positions anymore. Like those are so status quo now that they're almost like moderate positions.
but and they better than the other side? What they do? M&Ms, CRT, the
Oh yeah,
LGBT
and
community,
I
drag
want to talk
queens.
about that.
Yeah, we're gonna drag queens, things like that. I mean, that's all they talk about. I have never heard Republicans say, "Well, the education, we should help people have access to college for for poor people or people who are underserved." If you go to urban America, to rural America, they're closing down the hospitals. You know why? Because Republican conservatives refuse to accept Obamacare and take the money, free money from the federal government, which many hospitals depend on. Hospitals feed on government like Medicaid, programs. So they're closing. But if you go to rural America, I'm sorry to call them, I don't want to say idiots, white poor America, it's 2 hours to a hospital. If you had a heart attack, it's going to take 2, 3 hours to a hospital. And every time, the problem is, Melanie, is they'll go vote again. They go vote for the same people every time and vote against their interests. That's why That's why I get so upset when I see that, and I call them out, because when they vote, they're not voting their interest. They're voting their color. Because what they do is every cycle, well, CRT, those black people, CRT, critical race theory, they're trying to teach slavery. They're trying to make you look evil. Oh, look at those drag queens. They are grooming your kids. They are selling garbage to them, and those fools will go every single time and vote against their own interests and elect the same people every time, who go to Washington and work for the companies and corporations, like give tax cuts to the rich. I have never seen the Republican Party. I remember that a year ago, 2 years ago, we had something called the I don't know if you know our politics that much, Melanie. Biden put this called what's a child tax credit. Anybody who has a child under 18, if they're under, I think 6, they get $300 a month. If they're under 18, between 6 and 18, they get $250 a month. Every child in America was getting it. That cut poverty in half, especially if you go down south. They're so poor. It's unbelievable. I mean, I've been there. Appalachia, poor people, poor white people, they have no access to healthcare, no real education. They got these shanky houses and trailer parks. It's like they're not part of the American dream. Hello, Hawaii. They're not enjoying the American dream. They're not enjoying it. They're not being a part of it. And every single time they go vote, well, we can't vote for those D's. Those D's are evil. Those Democrats and those leftists are communists. We don't want no communists and socialism. You already have socialism. Medicaid is socialism. Medicaid is socialism. Social Security is socialism. The fire department is socialism. The police department is socialism. The libraries are socialism. Public education is socialism. You already have it, my friend. The only thing is you don't know you have it, and you're already enjoying the fruit of it. But I don't know what to tell you, man. Am I going nuts over here on you, Melanie, or what? I mean, this is what was so hurtful.
My only point is that if the left actually did start doing action, and we didn't just keep on referring to liberals as the left, Democrats would become reactionaries. Wonder Boy's asking what we're talking about in the video. Hi, Wonder Boy. We are currently watching about the protests against Cop City, and these are this is before the raid and shootings happened. And these are the protesters talking about the movement.
Why don't you look up YouTube, baby? They have a new video. We could put it on. This is we're gonna play the video a little bit so that people can watch it.
And brown people, poor and marginalized people, controlling crowds,
Here we go.
riots in the wake of the 2020 George Floyd uprising.
Its real name is the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center.
Okay. Sounds innocent, right?
Yeah, it sounds so innocuous.
Yeah.
Mock City for real world training.
Physical. World class tank.
First and foremost, this land, and not just these specific
It's like they don't want to be
land
identified,
parcels,
some of them,
but
right?
everywhere around us
Yeah.
is stolen indigenous land. This land specifically was inhabited by
Have you been in an environment like that in your
Muskogee.
life?
You may have heard them referred to in school.
Been in an environment, yeah.
After it was stolen, it was
I was born in that kind of environment. I grew up until I was 8. We had farms, we had cows, we had chickens, we had donkeys, and we had I had my own camel. I used to ride a camel at 7 years old. In America, they don't even let you go get a gallon of milk, and I was taking a camel to eat to eat in the valley. But I grew up in this kind of environment, and I know my parents and family. We have a large swath of land in Arabia, and because I come from a mountains region, but we immigrated here in the 50s, and we came one by one, and we just abandoned everything.
Plantation.
For economic reasons.
There were many plantations in this area. The family that we believe owned the plantation that the prison farm itself was on, we believe it was the Key family. We believe that this is the same Key family that appeared on an 1860 slave census,
Wow.
showing that they owned 19 slaves on this land. In 1911, another member of the Key family sold, I believe, 268 acres to the city of Atlanta. Farming and prison operations kind of began properly, at least by the late 1920s, early 1930s.
So they're really using
So
some of it,
certainly
right?
by late 1930s, 1940s,
Oh yeah, a lot of
farm
forested land.
was well underway. And
Google on
the
YouTube.
horror
See, they have
stories
a recent
begin
video
pretty
about that.
quick.
Yeah, well, Democracy Now! Does, but
And
a lot of
they-
forested
there was
land.
also a black man dropped
By the
dead
way, if I
shortly
could
after
have a
patrolman
moment
woke him up
to say
with dress.
this.
Yeah.
Mark Isaiah Willingham.
Can I pause this
died
too or
after
something? I
his
don't know what to do.
Okay.
A lot of forested land, especially around here and heavily colonized places, were fields before, whether they're wheat fields or grass fields for the cows and stuff like that. A lot of them have been converted back to forest, and you can often tell these things with like some basic just understanding about forests and what happened, especially where I am with like the glaciers and stuff. You can see like this place is too flat, and or like you can see like there's a lot of boulders here, so this might not have been for like hay or anything like that, but it could have been for like where they actually tossed the stones, and over there is the hayfield. So there's actually a lot of this.
So is there any like really wildlife living there? Do you have any idea, or just small insects and things like that of that nature?
Well, so with forests in North America, the big difference is whether or not these are like fragmented forests or forests that are capable of having what's known as an interior forest.
Okay.
So an interior forest has about 100 hectares of forest around them. Sorry, I should say, I think it's 100 meters of forest away from the center that borders it. And the inside, there has to be like at least about 100 acres or 100 hectares. I forget specifically, but it's a decent amount.
Yeah.
And that area is so insulated from the external effects, like from other open areas and stuff like that, that it's very important for various species and stuff like that. So losing that kind of forest is the forest you really don't want to lose. The fragmented forest usually has animals that will jump from one to the other, or birds that pretty much will nest anywhere. So they're not as specialized as an interior forest would be.
Oh, okay. I'll watch a little bit more.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Okay.
Robert Reynolds, 49, black man, died from head injuries, prompting an investigation. In reference to Reynolds, mayoral candidate Charlie Brown declared, Approximately 10 prisoners have died in the jail in the last 4 years under so-called mysterious circumstances. Whether it was an intentional lack of health care to outright abuse and murder, people died there. We do not have an exact date for when the prison farm closed, but we do know
so
obviously
grim.
the equipment was
Yeah.
sold off in 89 or 90. And there's discussion around 1995 or 1996 of using the prison farm to house the city's homeless during the Olympics. Throughout the 90s and the 2000s, tires were dumped there, industrial waste was dumped here.
Wow.
We don't really know just how poisoned this land is. This is stolen Muskogee land. This land was a plantation. This land was a prison farm, which is just
Oh, there you
another
go.
word
See a
for a
deer?
plantation.
It's
People
like
were
gazelle,
raped here.
right?
People were sprayed with
Saw it?
chemicals here. People died here. People's bodies are
Sorry,
rented out
what?
for labor and
Huh?
bussed off to other parts of the
You
city
saw the animal running? It was a gazelle or a deer.
Probably a deer, yeah.
Yeah, deer. Yeah, so I think it is.
from this land. We've used this land as a dumping ground. We have not respected this land, and we have not respected the people that lived on and were forcibly held on this land. And now we want to give it to the police.
It's just continuing that legacy, right? Of
Huh?
The
it's just
establishment-
continuing that legacy of wasting the land and doing so like as an basically as an insult to people who would obviously like, you know, have better use for that land than just building another cop shack.
This is Wonder Boy. See the question he asked? He said, gee, so they took the land. Yeah, that's what they do all the time, my friend. Government is bad. Government. That's why sometimes I agree with what you got to starve it because it has too many tentacles, you know, like an octopus, and it's all over the place. And if the government becomes too strong, military or the police, it becomes they say absolute power, but corrupts, right? Is that the saying they say? You understand?
Yeah,
So,
absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah,
I
this
find
is
it
what happens.
interesting that like in order like there's a lot of things that contribute to this. I think a big thing is that capitalism makes markets much bigger than they need to be.
Right.
And so like for food and stuff like that, like sure you can get stuff from your local market, but we all know that there's a food hegemony that
Yeah.
literally like in certain places makes that impossible.
Right.
And that's because like the land that's being used around those communities that are food deserts, that's being used for mass agriculture and not for them, not for the communities that actually technically own that land.
Yeah.
And so I find it interesting that like, you know, forests have been fragmented so that way we can grow more food and that so that way this thing can be so homogenized and so out of proportion.
Yeah.
When we need the opposite, we need to bring back the dominance of forest in areas that used to be forested, and we need to fragmentize capitalism. We need to break it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Well, Google's gonna get broken up soon. Today they just announced they're gonna sue them. All right, let me see a little bit.
City will really affect the entire country.
It's so beautiful. man.
Atlanta will be a leading exporter of a lot of violent tactics, police tactics, if this, training compound is built. You know, training police officers in urban warfare tactics and with military-grade weaponry is really dangerous.
Yeah. See.
And you know, we've seen examples of that through the killings of folks like Anthony Hill and Shamarian Robinson, Matthew Williams and Rayshard Brooks. Those are examples of how, militarized tactics really only increase the likelihood that the police will kill. We see it as important to address or try to stop the development of this project in order to increase the safety of Black, poor, and working class people in the city. This project will increase and intensify gentrification in the area. Gentrification is really just the process of removing.
What do you think about the what's it called, gentrification?
It's just Well,
You know what that is, right?
he's gonna describe it. So
No, no, I'm gonna tell
I
you.
feel like
mean,
I'm jumping the gun a bit if I comment on it now.
okay, yeah. No, no. I'm telling you another part because we experience it right now. I'm in New York City. I'm gonna tell you a lot of neighborhoods have changed a lot.
Removal in the beginning it was settlers, right? Like, settlers
Oh, this is
moved
going
in
historical
and
way.
removed the original people who lived here.
Yeah.
Police are really the enforcers of these processes.
Oh, for
When
sure.
we think about how their role in terms of criminalizing and incarcerating um, black and brown people, that effectively removes those people from the neighborhood and allows for wealthier, often white residents to take their place. And so we can point to the example of, the many evictions that have taken place, and police really playing
You
a
know what I'm saying?
key role in evicting people. So we see Cop City as a force to really break up the neighborhood and allow for, I guess, wealthier residents to move in and just changing the makeup of the neighborhood. We understand that this will also just accelerate climate change, right? And so, the impacts of that will be felt um, uh, by and large by the surrounding communities, which are, again, black and brown. Destroying the forest will bring about things like flooding and decreased air quality and rising heat levels, all of which will be felt, again, disproportionately by, the black surrounding neighborhoods, but really all of Atlanta. It's important as we think about, the struggle to defeat climate change, like maintaining the forest is key to that. And, again, climate change is something that is already being felt
Okay,
disproportionately
I'll ask
by
you a
black
question.
and brown communities. And so
It's not. It's almost like related to this. Degenerate. What's the word? Degeneration, whatever. When white people come back to old neighborhoods. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? Huh?
yeah, sort of. I haven't really thought or much or looked
Okay,
into it.
I live in New York. I live in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, a long time ago there was something called white flight. Like when blacks moved into a neighborhood, white people flew out of the neighborhood. They moved to the suburbs like 30 years, 40 years ago. I mean, so you had these areas, these enclaves. Like I know I'm going to describe you some areas in New York. I don't know if you're going to in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, where I live, and all that stuff. Areas that were all black. Then what happened? I started to notice hippies were moving back. Then whites were starting to come back and started buying the houses. And the whole idea was the degentrify. I don't know how to say the word. Um,
Gentrify?
Gentrify, yeah. And they're pricing the blacks and the poor. They're pricing them out. As soon as the lease ends, they can't afford the new rent. So, and I go right now to certain areas, all hippies and whites and the coffee shops and stuff like that. I mean, it's nice people, but the whole idea is that now they have an opposite of what's going on. Now, black people and Hispanics and brown people who are poor, or even poor whites, are being priced out of these neighborhoods. They go into the suburbs, believe it or not, and the whites are coming back to reclaim these cities and these neighborhoods that they left generations ago. Like in the Bronx, they took over the whole area. Harlem was all black. You heard of Harlem black and all that stuff. I used to drive a cab, one time, I didn't know. So I was picking up these white kids, I'm like, where you want to go? They're like 125 in the morning. This is like the heart of. I said, where you going there? I said, we live there. Like, yeah, and I went there and I saw, because they realized that when they left these areas are good. They're like Manhattan or Bronx, close to work. They don't have to travel 3-4 hours a day to come to work, and especially the young people, the artists, the comedians who live in Alphabet City. Instead of paying 7,000, 8,000 for an apartment, and you have like 20 people, they $2,000 apartment is like a bargain to them. So this is almost like these people are defrosting the forest, and those are regenifying the neighborhoods in the area. I don't know what your business. I don't know how Canada works. I don't know how your how
Yeah,
you
I don't think people
do
are.
you live like in
I don't
clay?
think the people being pushed out of housing are moving to suburbs. I think they're becoming homeless.
Yeah, not all of them. No, I mean you have whole areas. I mean, I'm going to tell you. We had Hurricane Sandy. and I was
Yeah, no, the suburbs here aren't cheaper than
yeah,
downtown.
yeah, no,
They get equally as more expensive.
so I don't, they go in some place because I mean they can't be all homeless because I mean these are I'm talking about tens of thousands of people. I mean these are whole areas. I mean like
Yeah, but that usually comes from like new developments where
yeah,
people
like
are
East New
moving
York.
into the city.
East New York
And
it was all black. You cannot even go there. I mean, it was bad, and they at one time the whole city, New York, they burned
so
it down.
you're
To the ground.
referring to cities that you can't build within without
No,
like,
no, they're already there.
taking out massive communities. In cities, in the majority of cities though, and especially this is different in rural communities,
Yeah.
they just build within them without actually destroying those communities. So the prices of things go up, cost of living goes up and stuff like that. They can't flee to the suburbs because the suburbs are already unaffordable. And
Yeah,
that's
but there's an opposite migration. Believe it or not, you could look it up like when you get a time when we finish the show.
I'm not saying it's not happening. I don't think
Yeah, because they're not building
to
anything.
assume that there's no home, like that the
They
default
just
isn't that they're just becoming homeless, kind of like ignores inflation and all the other things that are
let
clearly
me give you
happening right in front of us.
let me give you an example. I used to live in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York. Far
No,
Rockaway has a
Omar, the case by case, these things will vary drastically.
no, no. I want to
So
show you.
I'd rather watch the video, to be honest, and
Oh, okay.
discuss this because
Okay.
like the issue is what it is.
The
Yeah.
Waylani Forest is so
Inflation and
that
gentrification is well understood.
81 acres of it to build this militarized urban warfare training facility is unconscionable. We can't allow that to happen.
Beautiful.
My experience living in this forest has been
Oh, he lives there.
wild.
Well,
Beyond
yeah, they're occupying it.
we
Yeah.
have
Wow.
something like 7 or 8 platforms and tree houses up now. This is the second wave of this. The cops came in last May and tore down a bunch of tree houses, but we promptly rebuilt them. It does a number of things. First of all, it brings me
So
along
that's worth noting, by the way, because
to
the cops say from the shooting that they were shot at, but they'd already done this once before and they weren't shot at.
Yeah, no, they just use it as a pretext to do it. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They always do that.
build my own house.
That's how
in
wars are
this
started too.
forest as an act of resistance to the police.
Like, who's really more likely to escalate things in this scenario, right? The
Yeah,
cops or the
it's not.
protesters?
It's not in their favor to make problems. You understand?
And
Yeah, they're just trying to stay there. They're just trying to make it impossible to build.
Yeah.
right now, and it is also stopping construction. And this is a nonviolent form of resistance, protecting the trees along with tying trees together so they can't be felled. People in this movement also build barricades to prevent the cops from moving through the woods, to prevent the movement of machinery through the woods. The blend of the symbolic and the practical is definitely really important here.
Yeah. Because like so many people will like pigeonhole protests and be like,
Yeah.
oh, what's the practical outcome, right?
Take more risks.
If you compare this to the people who like
there's
Hold on, let me
huge
look.
diversity of tactics.
What you said, Melanie?
well, people are always trying to ask, like, what are the practical things from protests? It doesn't always have to be practical, right? Like
Yeah.
the Van Gogh soup protests, like, definitely got people talking about poverty and hunger,
Yeah.
even though that was purely symbolic. There
Yeah.
wasn't even any damage done to the painting, so it was
Yeah.
purely symbolic.
Yeah. Even this, it doesn't. It's not in their. It's not in their interest to shoot out the cops. They're trying to avoid the cops coming in. You see, they have the barricades. So if you have these barricades, why would you shoot out the cops to make them come in? You understand?
Mhm.
So it's just it's a pretext. They use that. They always do that.
In this movement, property such as machines, windows, are not more important than living things and living people, and that sort
It
of
is for corporations.
is really the least that people can do in response to the violence that is inflicted daily by the police and the state. just our visible presence here, whether it's in the line of construction or not,
Yeah.
is a deterrence from construction. People see the militancy and the tactics that are being employed here, and it has inspired actions all across the country. This movement is completely autonomous and decentralized and not controlled or directed by any sort of organization, nonprofit or otherwise.
Yeah.
There's no institutions, no formal leaders. There are people doing what they feel is right, and that means that we can be extremely creative and we can do what's effective rather than sticking to tactics that have been tried and tried again with little to no successes.
We've organized protests, and we've also done work to get the word out, and let the surrounding communities know what's happening, because there's been
Yeah,
very
I feel like
transparency coming
we've
from
I feel like we've
folks
lost the
project,
culture of
like the
protest.
Police Foundation
Hold
and
on.
city.
What you said, Melanie?
I feel like we've lost the culture of protest to the point where the
Yeah,
idea of
yeah,
just doing something as an
yeah,
act of resistance because it feels right,
right.
instead of having to be like, oh, is this the DSA? Is this,
Yeah,
who's doing this? What's the funding and all that stuff?
right.
Like,
So,
really, leftists should be following their hearts, if anything, and not trying to like have like these giant parties about things. I mean, political parties, not like, college parties,
well,
but
you have two people. You have people like these who are on the ground who really believe in what they do it, and you have those people with the phones. Like the guerrilla, internet guerrillas. They write something, and they go to sleep. They never do anything really
I think
constructive.
that they're important too, right? Like
Uh,
my time as a debater, I think hopefully got some people to question capitalism in ways that they hadn't before.
well,
And if we have gotten people to do that who otherwise wouldn't on their time on the internet, I think that is valuable. That's a form of outreach, and outreach is critical to any sort of doctrine of how you're supposed to protest something.
yeah. That's weird. I mean, I was gonna say,
But I get what you're saying though, is like on the grounds people will actually do things. We're just guiding the discussion.
I remember when I was young, really young, we went to the protest. The Iraqi war protest.
Oh, wow.
And to Washington. There's 100,000 people, and it didn't even make the news because the media was in bed with the war. They wanted the war in Iraq. They know
Oh
it's a
yeah.
lie, and I
Even
mean,
CNN was like super pro Bush, if I recall.
we didn't get nothing. I went there, everybody, my friends. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people. Washington was full to the tilt. I told you, with kids with drums, guys with paints in their faces, like the war drums and things like that. Very peaceful people, everything, everybody cleaned up. But we never got any traction. We were against the war. Nothing. I went home. I said, "Well, we're gonna be all over the news tonight, man." Nothing. Sometimes just a blip, because
And
they wanted.
hardly anyone covered this
Yeah,
before anyone got shot, right?
they want the media. Sometimes it is today's media is just about shock. It's about, how could they trigger you? They're not about depth. Like what's her name? I think is Amy Goodwill, from America, from
The
Democracy Now!
Democracy Now, yeah, she's
And
great.
I know Juan Williams. He used to be a Daily News columnist. I used to read all the time when I grew up. I used to read the Daily News. I know who he is, Juan Williams, and I used to watch it a long time. I don't watch it as much, but it's very. They cover things that nobody covers. Like yeah, have you heard Pacifica Radio?
I haven't listened to it now.
Yeah, I used to listen to it. They used a long time ago. When I used to drive around a lot, and
Council.
this song, but the media is in bed with the government.
And so we've
corporate
worked to
America.
It is
just
also
get
what you
this,
said with them
sound
wanting to
difference,
do
just
shock
to
value.
knock on
Like,
doors.
Huh?
it is also what you said with them wanting to do shock value. Like, I have
That's what
a
they
huge
do.
criticism with the left
This-
and needing content all the time instead of actually covering leftist theory. Like, if you're going to be online, then you need to actually push leftist agendas and not just have debates about things that the right wants to talk about all the time.
The whole idea, I'm gonna give you an idea. When I watch my TV, like later on, I never go to Fox. If I go to Fox News, I think I'm living in a different country. They talk about things I don't even know what the hell they're talking about, like things I don't even know they exist, and like crazy shit. It's like going in Walmart at night and going to those big aisles. There's nobody there. You get scared to go on your own because holy shit, there's
Yeah.
nobody. It's the same thing. And I get back to CNN, to MSNBC, my cover. I got to go back to my tribe now because they are my tribe. When they do the same thing. They shock value me. They push me towards a certain agenda that I want to. Because when I see Fox, I'm like, I'm gonna stick with these guys. They're not as bad as these guys. You understand? This is what they do:
Right.
shock value,
Yeah.
creating
People know
tribalism and
what's
things like that.
happening in their
Nothing concrete.
in their neighborhood, because we understand that as the police continue to militarize, that there's no way that that they'll be able to fully meet the needs of our communities. That we need to rely on each other in order to defend ourselves, to provide for a safe and secure environment for ourselves and our communities. That's look like building out community defense programs that include things like medic training and first aid and disaster relief and
That's what communities
sports
really
and
need.
form of
Yeah.
justice practices that
Communities really
build,
need
community defense
ways to
outside of,
respond as a
what
community.
the state
Yeah.
might offer. A couple of our programs are more focused on how do we keep residents in place? How do we make sure that we maintain the character of the neighborhood and ensure that folks are better equipped to stay where they'd like to stay in their homes. And so that has meant providing things like $750 a month to residents who ask for code enforcement, rental assistance, or home repairs. And so that is one program we offer to residents in South Atlanta. We are also engaged in a liberation program, which is a program we use to distribute food, household and cleaning items to folks who ask for it, just to make sure that people have more resources to help them satisfy their basic needs. The work of community movement builders we see as a part of the broader movement, in the sense that there's a lot of work taking place here directly in the forest. There are forest defenders who are occupying space and working to prevent trees from being cut down and development from taking place. And our work is meant to complement and be in concert with those efforts by really doing some more community defense. We want to protect the safety and security of our communities, and this project won't do that. It will only worsen those the safety and security of those of the communities that we live in.
People are ready for something else. People are grasping tangibly the suffocating brutality of the police state, the imminence and immediacy of climate change and ecological devastation. It's not some far off dystopia, it's already here, and people are responding in kind. People need to know that Cop City will never be built, but we're not going anywhere, and that this resistance is not only absolutely necessary, but it's a lot of fun, and it frequently feels really good to resist something that is just so ontologically evil. No compromise in defense of Mother Earth, no compromise in defense of our lives, no compromise in defense of our freedom or autonomy. We're gonna stop Cop City.
All right.
By the way, I think the border is cutting off our names.
The what?
The border.
Oh, over there, yeah. That's too far. Okay, I'll fix it tomorrow. I'll make it smaller. I was experimenting with these borders to try to make it like more things like that. All right, so that was interesting. I mean, you want to add into that? I mean,
I did send you the video of the news about the shooting from Democracy Now.
okay. I see. Here it goes. Wait, hold on.
And then do you want to cover the Eminem stuff after that? I think there's
Yeah,
there's a
let's go.
lot to
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at
yeah.
there.
Because we did an hour already. So let's do. Wait, let's get somebody to talk about it. You know who we're gonna get him? We're gonna get what's his name? Tucker Carlson. Let's see what he says. Then we're gonna comment on it. Okay. I'm gonna show you how crazy the right is. They have nothing to offer. They're like, oh, we're gonna Eminem, and I think they should. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think these candy companies should stop this stuff anyway. They just
Oh,
giving these.
it's all just marketing.
Yeah, this is giving people ammunition to make us. I mean, there's a different hills to die on. We don't want to die on the hills of Eminem. What do you call it? Eminem peanuts or whatever. I mean, there's other issues that we want to fight. Okay, wait, is that it? Wait, Eminem, Tucker, Mars. Oh, there you go. Son of a bit. Okay. Wait.
M&Ms, which they claim melt. Well, for most of its history as a company, Mars Inc. was known for making candy, Milky Way, Skittles, Snickers, and most famously M&Ms, which they claim melted in your mouth but not in your hand. But over time, churning out delicious and highly lucrative calorie bombs was not enough for Mars. Its executives wanted to be Starbucks. Sure, our product is unhealthy, but we're woke, so please don't notice. So in its ad campaigns, Mars set about making its M&M characters as unattractive as possible because when you're intentionally repulsive, it's clear you've got the right politics. So the green M&M lost her sexy boots, the brown M&M her stiletto heels. The orange M&M, meanwhile, became a poster boy for the mental health crisis and would henceforth, quote, acknowledge and embrace his anxiety because America badly needs more neurotic candy. Then late last year, Mars went further and added obese and distinctly frumpy lesbian M&M.
It doesn't even make sense. Like, the whole point is that he's going to be less neurotic, Tucker.
Yeah, well, this guy's a racist piece of shit. What I'm saying is that here, I don't think. I mean, Mr. Potato Head, all the guys, just stay out of the culture war because you're making things worse for other people. There are things to fight for, like these kids in the forest. That's a real fight. You're fighting for something tangible, something that you're going to change the world. M&M is a candy. Just leave it as a candy. I mean, when I go to the store, I'm not thinking how beautiful M&M is. You know, I'm a Snicker guy, so I love Snickers. But if I go and I get M&M, I just want to, put on, eat them. I don't have no time to see or care.
Quote, feminism and body positivity. In other words, explained the Mars Corporation, it's good to be fat. Have some more M&Ms.
I hate that.
We reported on this at the time and pledged a deeper investigation into it. But before we could complete our investigation, Mars announced that it's suspending its ad campaign. A chocolate vendor promoting obesity was just too shameless even by modern standards. But at CNN, they were infuriated by the news. News anchors who have not had a carb since the
Tucker sounds like he's just against chocolate, maybe. Yeah. If he's like against obesity, like, yeah. Like, eat enough chocolate, it'll cause obesity. Not everyone who pushes chocolate is pushing obesity.
Yeah, well, Tucker, he's just looking for something to talk about. Everybody needs content. Like us, we need content on YouTube. He needs content every night. So he needs something to excite the base. Oh, look at M&M. They're going to turn M&M to gay people and lesbians. Look at these crazy liberals. This is crazy. He needs shock value. He needs that. He needs to feed that pace every night because it's like having like these snakes, and he has to feed them every night. He has to give them something to eat so they could stay poisonous and ready to bite.
Also, M&M's needs something more than just being controversial because so many different products.
I know people are gonna think I'm crazy. I just don't like that. I told you. Those people, the video we just saw about the Club City, that's real stuff.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying there's so many corporations out there that have been controversial at this point that it's no longer even a real marketing strategy. And to actually respond to the controversy, ups that marketing game for them. So that way they're talked about even more. They're now at a higher level than all the other companies that have just been talked about.
You see, when they have a commercial, I like M&M. They have the commercial where the two M&Ms are under the tree, that Christmas tree, and they meet Santa, and Santa says, "Oh, they are real. They all faint." Yeah, that's something funny. Yeah, we laugh at. But when I go to the store to buy candy, I'm not looking at that. I don't think I need to know that. I don't want the sexes of the M&Ms or what they look like or what they do in their private life. It doesn't make no sense. You have to make sense sometimes. You cannot be a blockhead because what you're
Yeah, it's
doing is,
also, but it's also not hurting anybody, so I don't think it's worth lamenting about, to be honest.
what is it?
It's not hurting anybody to have female M&Ms. If
No,
anything,
the
it's a
idea is
better
not.
argument that having
Yeah,
like
but
too
look
much
what.
male representation in media makes women feel worse about themselves, and
Yeah,
so
but
simply
I
just
mean,
having
candy.
broader representation is just better for females' mental health. It's not that hard.
I know, but in candy, I mean, who cares? I mean, I don't I mean, candy. Look what you do. You're feeding the monster here. You're giving them something to feed, to
But
create,
but also by
to create
saying it,
more hate.
you're treating it like it matters one way or another, right? Like
Huh?
you're also treating it like it matters one way or another. I don't.
I don't care. I just want
Yeah.
candy. That's what I want. I don't care. I don't want to see all that stuff. It doesn't make sense to me. They could put it if they want to. Well, I'm going after taste. When I go to the store, I'm looking for the candy I like. And I'll buy sneaker bars all the time. And if I go nuts, I get payday. I don't know if you know what payday is, a candy bar with a lot of peanuts on it.
It doesn't have to make sense to an individual person. It makes
Yeah.
sense on a broader scale
So
of
what does that mean?
societies moving away from only like if you're going to make a candy mascot, it has to be male because all candy mascots are male. We're moving away from that is all that is.
Okay. We're gonna disagree on this, okay? Because we need to disagree. So when you see this, you think that's good representation of a female?
No.
Huh?
No, I just think it's better representation than all of them being male.
How about they just make candy and leave that stuff alone? Will it matter
If their mascots were genderless, sure.
they never had mascots? We never had. I never had a mascot. Never. I never saw a mascot for the M&M. I never even thought about it until now. Until
the red and yellow M&Ms were definitely mascots.
Huh? Yeah, but they're not.
They
male
use them
and
as
female.
mascots.
They're two idiots. You do all jokes. Okay, let's continue. Let me finish this first.
Pro-fatness
There's only
campaign.
10 seconds left.
CNN political analyst and notably unhappy person Kirsten Powers attacked this show for our, quote, misogynist, anti-trans, fat-phobic garbage rhetoric. Congressman Richie Torres of New York did the same. So did Bloomberg and Forbes and the New York Times.
See?
And it made you wonder if all these people are secretly being paid to flack for corporate America. Probably not. They just can't stand the idea that candy isn't political.
You see?
But we're grateful it's not.
That's what we're doing. You're feeding the monster. You're giving them content to use against you. That's not the hell you want to die on or to fight on. You want real rights for people. Who cares what Eminem does? Eminem, if Eminem wants to do a good thing, donate to a community that is suffering from issues, or help with mental health, or help marginalized communities with money. Don't show me a woman Eminem. Help women in shelters and domestic violence and things of that nature. Give them money. That's where it counts.
I'm just wondering what happened to when the right was like against canceling, because right now they're literally canceling women.
Who can? No, most of the canceling were men canceled because they were sexually overactive. Everybody was a man in the beginning. No woman.
Right, they're against that kind of canceling, but right now Tucker Carlson is like, "Oh, something's female, and I don't want it to be female."
This guy's
Cancel
sick.
that.
Well, hold on. Melanie, this guy doesn't matter. What he says doesn't matter to me or anything. I don't like. Nobody likes him. He has a certain crowd. I told you. It's all. I don't want to say the word.
Like when you say it doesn't matter to you, I have to wonder what you mean, because it matters to me. I'm trans, so like his use of the whole like trans people are pedophiles thing directly impacts me.
No, what I'm saying is,
but it is serious, Omar. Like he has serious impacts. He has influences on people who will act based on what he says.
Okay, and who gives him the ammunition? Us.
No, his viewers do. The people who he influences does.
No, he feeds them, but we're giving them the smart thing. If you didn't have to talk about the M&Ms tonight, you wouldn't have nothing to say. The animals that follow, I don't want to call them animals.
Yeah, right. That's a marketing thing. That's what M&Ms is doing. I agree.
It doesn't, I don't know. Maybe I'm a dull person. When I watch something, I really don't care. I'm going after taste and quality. That's all I want, and price.
Right. And the only way that I think it does matter is in a society where we don't want girls who are growing up in a society to see everything that matters represented by men.
Yeah, I know, but not in candy. I don't even think they should have men in candy. You know what I'm saying?
Like when things are default, that impacts people's sense of values. So if men are the default, then women will value themselves less. All we're doing is all I'm saying is that there is an argument to the idea that if
Yeah.
society progresses forward and actually diversifies this, then that sort of thing will no longer be as much of a factor, which
All
is
right.
fair.
All right. I mean, if you say so, but me, I really don't. I don't care.
But I
really.
also agree it doesn't necessarily matter specifically for candy, right? This is something that is better taken on by like educational institutions and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I mean, why you
Those
need
are
all?
way more important things to worry
Yeah.
about.
I
Tucker
mean,
Carlson is taking the bait that the corporations put out here because, yeah, like you said, he needs content.
yeah.
And like I said, the only reason that they decided to change anything is because they
Okay.
knew that it would separate them from all the other forms of marketing
Remember,
that rely on that.
remember. I don't know if you as a kid I played Mr. Potato Head. What's it called? They had an issue, and they had a whole week about it on these right wing TV. Oh, they changed the agenda. Really, does Mr. Potato has agenda? I mean, we used to question him. That's all we used to do. These are crazy stuff that I mean, we as people who are left wing or liberal or whatever Marxists want to call them, we need to pick real fights. We need to be strategic in how we fight our fights and what hill to die on.
Well, the
I'm not.
culture war is
Yeah,
a real thing, right?
I'm
Like what they're
yeah,
doing with schools and stuff like that
I'm not
isn't
willing
just
to
like
die. I'm not
isn't just
as an activist. I'm not willing to die on the hill of M&Ms. I'm willing to defend
yeah,
the
no
drag
one's
queens of
dying on any no
huh?
one's dying on any hills over this. But when we talk about culture wars, like overall, if toys are become like a male dominated thing
Okay,
where
okay, toy. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. Toys, yes, you should have representation because it's a toy. I told you, as a kid, I played with dolls. I told you that a long time ago.
I'm just saying overall, I'm not even calling out particular toys. Like Army Men can
no, no,
still
no.
be
But I'm
Army Men. I
saying
don't
that
really give a shit. But
no, no. Okay, see, candy it doesn't matter, but toys you need. You can't have. Let's say you only had toys that are all like boys and males. You had no dolls like Barbie for girls to play with, or house dolls. Then there's an issue with that. That means
but you keep on treating it like it's the candy that matters. It's not. It's the mascots. It's the representation and the influence it might have on people watching the media, which they
what's
are
more
used to
important?
impact them.
What's more important to you, the toys or that?
It's not about what's more important. It's about as a whole, the culture does have an impact on outcomes.
Okay, let's agree to disagree on the M&M. Let's go to the toys. What do you think of toys? Toys should be representative of boys and girls, whatever, right or wrong?
I just think it's better when they are.
They are, because I'm going to give you an idea. The Board of Education versus Brown. You know how he won the case? They did a study. They took two dolls, one white, one black, and they went to all girls, like black girls, and they offered them. All the black girls picked the white dolls, because you understand what I'm saying here. And then when they finished, like the majority of these girls, they picked the black dolls. So they had a low esteem black girls, and that's how they won the Brown versus education, and because children were not were looking at themselves as less of a person. They rather be white than they were black. This is in the 1950s. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's our problem. We have issue here, but there's a lot of things to fight over. Like we just saw the movie on the rights or the growing extremism in the United States, the way the right is growing, white nationalism, Christian nationalism. I don't even know what that means. Christian nationalism. I had an argument with that guy, from the Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm a Christian nationalist. I said, Christianity is not a nationality, it's a religion. So how could you be a nationalist? It's not an ethnicity. So, I mean, Christianity, if your religion, it's an open door policy for everyone. Blacks, white, Hispanic, Indians, Arabs, all people could be Christian. So you cannot nationalize it. I said, you're only using that word nationalism is to cover your racism. You want to sugarcoat it with the word Christianity in the beginning, so it doesn't sound bad as white nationalism. Oh, I'm just a Christian nationalist. I'm not a white nationalist. So those guys are crazy. So what does that mean? I thought, what does that mean? Me and him, we don't talk no more because he punked me. You know what he did to me, right? He told me he got in touch with me. He said, I want to debate on the 23rd of December. because I'm gonna raise some money for Christmas. I said, okay. He picked the topic, he picked the date, he picked everything, and I said, okay. And I prepared for 2 weeks, only to start the intro for 7 minutes, and he just cuts me off and goes on a tirade, of Islamic tropes. And, he talked a lot of nice stuff, and then he had to delete the video because he knew what he did was no good. And
Yeah, he was trying to get you banned, if anything.
he's an idiot. Why would you make me ready for 2 weeks to debate me, then say, "Oh, I was a joke"? Ha ha ha! I said that's a trailer park move, man. That's called trash. That's trashy move. I'm not a kid. I'm not one of you guys, those idiots, those who hang out on those weird streams. I'm not like that. I'm a person. I'm a businessman. I used to own a lot of businesses before I got sick. You understand? I'm not like these people. These guys are 9 to 5 guys. I dealt with people, with businesses, with employees, more than 30, 40 employees when I was healthy. The only thing I'm doing this is because I had a stroke. I told you, right? I can't walk that much. I stay in the house all the time. My kids gave me all these equipment. They thought I was going to go nuts, stay in the house all the time, because I don't leave the house. I leave the house every 3 or 4 months, unless if I have a doctor appointment. I become, what do you call it, introverted? Is that the word? When you come, you don't want to deal with people.
That's one way you could say it. I think people get what you mean.
I don't leave the house. I don't leave. Every 4 months, I'll do it. Only the last time I had to go to the emergency room I got sick. I'm still sick and I can't breathe. 3 weeks ago, I don't know. I had a rest. I don't leave my house. I have this big studio with these computers in here. So the whole idea is that so why you want to punk me? I'm not a kid. Don't play games with me, man. You want to debate? We'll debate foreign policy. I have a 4-year degree in political science. I'm not some idiot who drinks beer and cigarette online during his stream. Anyway, you want to let's go. You heard the story, right, about Steven Crowder?
Yeah, sure. Can this also be our last one?
Let's
was
just do
only
Steven Crowder.
expecting to go for about an hour, but
Let's do, I was going to do a shoot and forget about this.
Because you're going to have to make cuts anyway, so that makes sense.
Huh? I don't.
When you edit this.
I don't edit anything.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to edit this into a video. Well, I'm going to want to make cuts, so whatever.
You could do it on your own, but right now mine is live. I never edit. I don't have the patience to edit. I just say whatever I have to say. Whatever goes, it goes. Sometimes I will cut them like to 2 pieces, like to try to So because people
and
don't
that
watch
didn't
the whole...
work out with the Dylan Burns thing, by the way, because I had trouble with audio muting at times.
You had the audio and you had us in
the
the
conversation
background.
did not make sense. Well, having you guys in the background was for a reason, and I don't want to get into that right this moment because that's all technical stuff. But yeah, anyways.
All right, how you feel tired? We could call it a day. It's an hour already, and then we do it. It doesn't have to be.
With the Steven Crowder thing, I think a lot of people are commenting on that, and there's not a lot more room to add anything more to it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we had a good conversation, right? We enjoyed.
Oh, totally. Right? Yeah, we got to disagree as well. So
you have to, because if we agree, then there's no show. I'm gonna be the bad guy all the time. All right, Melanie. I'll see you next time. I'll see you next week. I hope you stay healthy and everything goes well for you. All right. Take care, sweetheart.
Bye. Bye-bye.